What's up, everybody? It's Martimus here with another episode of Smoking That Ish. Please hold your applause. Please. Thank you. Thank you. A shout out to D Game Studios and D Game 6923 podcast on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, comment. And speaking of comments, I'm going to get to the comments right away. We got a few newer comments out there. Tiny Stems, on Instagram. I think he's Champon for Life on there on YouTube. He let me know that Lifted Labs is based in Brookings, which is nice. Saved me a little bit of time looking that up. And they got really good prices at Patient's Choice in tea because, that's Pure Bliss's shop, I think. So they got really good prices there. You guys should check that out. I'm definitely gonna check out Patient's Choice in tea for sure. And Conflict Purple was talking about fitness. Yeah, it's not all about it's about more about what you eat than anything. You got to eat clean. You got to stay active. So I agree there 100%. Xanadu, buddy, how you doing, man? Haven't heard from you in a minute. Haven't seen you in a while. I know we're both busy. We got kids. We got lives. Look forward to seeing you as soon as next time you're in town, buddy. Hope you're doing well. A hole so dank or a hole so dank. I don't know. They were talking about Alien Thug Rose. They said it reminded them of some bud they got in North Cal 20 years ago. So a hole so dank. Talking about that Alien Thug Rose from Dakota Green. So shout out Dakota Green. Good job there. Way to go. Doing great. Just doing good things. Speaking of them, Superior Buds in Mitchell. I tried the Black Afghani, which is $99 an ounce. Okay? $99 an ounce, which for it is a great price, probably a lowball price for what this is. It's 16% THC, which is really good. That's nice, mid-range, nothing wrong with that. It's dank as can be, just smells to high heaven. It really does. The nugs are compressed, tight, hard nugs, almost like little pebbles, like rocks. They're so condensed. And the only criticisms I have at all are that it has kind of a strange taste to it. I can't put my finger on what it is. It's just mostly towards like the end of a joint. If you roll a joint with it, towards the end of the joint, it can have like kind of a weird taste. Maybe that's just me. And it was a little harsh, a little harsh on the inhale. So other than that, $99 an ounce, dude, all day at Superior Buds there in Mitchell. That's a hell of a price, dude. That's a really good price. And like I said, just a bit of a strange taste towards the end of joints and stuff, and a little harsh. That's all. Other than that, great product. Good job there. Not nearly as good as that Alien Thug Rose, though. That Alien Thug Rose is legit, like, up there. That's some really, really good bud. Lifted Labs, dude. Your watermelon gummies, I don't know if you can tell, but I have taken one of those this morning. Those Lifted Labs, I like the watermelon ones. The watermelon gummies, 20 of them for $85 at Superior Buds. I think they're cheaper than that at Patient's Choice in tea. So if you're closer to there, maybe go there. But I prefer the heavy hitters, the 500 milligram bag. So about a 25-ish milligram gummy. And it's very nice. They're tasty. They're actually really good. They're really tasty gummies. Very nicely done. They're fast release too. So you don't have to worry about it taking forever. It usually is on you within a half hour. So really nice. I don't eat until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So like taking one in the morning for me is just bam. I mean, straightens you right out. And like I said, the 25-ish one's perfect. Just perfect for me. They're euphoric. If you want to be better and be nicer, maybe try some Lifted Labs gummies, dude. They are. I'm definitely going to be a long time customer. And they not only do they use Pure Bliss, they use other people as well, but mainly Pure Bliss, I think. And oofta. Their gummies are good. I enjoy them quite a bit. Shout out once again, 1889 Farms and your Sherb cream cake, man. Just magic, dude. I can't get enough of it. Loving it. It's almost gone at Superior Buds. Might be gone by the time this comes out. I might go get the rest of it. It's just some of the best smoke I've ever had. It's whatever it is that's wrong in me, Sherb cream cake seems to take care of that very well. And man, you slap one of these gummies on it and having a good time. Also, Sodak Selects, dude. Shout out. I finally tried some of your concentrates. I tried your GMO. And I opened your GMO, and my girlfriend immediately was like, "Ooh, it smells like cat piss in here." So very strong on the cat piss smell from the GMO. And the dabs are very smooth. It's clean, good, very nice rips, good long-lasting mellow high. I mean, it's really nice. Good job, Sodak Selects, on the dabs, dude. You guys are doing good things. I mean, just all around doing a really good job. And then Cloud9, of course. Shout out to Cloud9. I still got to stop in there and pick up some Brevita packs. He was nice enough to give me a big old one last time I was in there because he didn't have any small ones. So shout out there for saving my bud from being dry and, burned up too quick. Not having the nice smooth hits that I like. Also, we grabbed some incense when we were there because, you got to keep the house smelling good. They have a wide selection of incense there. So shout out to Cloud9 and Mitchell. Very good. And like I said before, Patient's Choice and tea, I'm definitely going to be checking you guys out. I think having those nice low prices, and I just want to see what you guys are about. So I'll be in there checking that place out. So now we are going to get into, and this is, bless you. And now we're going to get into the history of cannabis, part 2. Here we go. So cannabis, it's going to dip back a little bit because I'm using mostly Wikipedia for this research, and it tends to bounce around a little bit. So I have to go further in the research before I can have something that I know I can use. I have to do more research in case it jumps back, a couple thousand years or something. And then I don't want to be piecing things together like I am at the beginning of this episode here. So history of cannabis, part 2, 90,000 to 50,000 years ago, gathered hemp fiber was used to make cloth as of 2015. They found that in 2015, long before agriculture was a thing. Okay, so I'm sorry, everybody who's anti-cannabis and against marijuana, but it's been around forever, longer than anything you know or know of. Cannabis has been there. Okay. Let's see. We already went through a lot of this stuff, the Kunabu and Kunabu and the Hindus in India. That's where ganja comes from. That's a Sanskrit word, Don't forget. Sanskrit is sacred language of Hinduism. And they used bhang. And we're going to talk more about bhang. We might even do a full episode on bhang. So, be looking for that in the future there. The Vedas or Vidas talks about soma, which is a hallucinogenic thing that might have had more than just cannabis in it, but they think it had cannabis in it. So now we're going to be at the 8th century BC, which is where I really want to start on this. And they found cannabis residues on 2 altars in Telerad, which I imagine is somewhere over in the Middle East area there. An archaeological site, it's west of the Dead Sea. So over in that area. Telerad dated to the kingdom of Judah. So long time ago. A landlocked Israelite kingdom located in the highlands of Judea. The capital city is Jerusalem. I've heard of it. The Jewish people are named after Judah and are primarily descended from it. They believe the discovery of cannabis residue points towards, not the Jewish people, but researchers believe the discovery of cannabis residue points towards psychoactive or religious cannabis use. That's according to Zohar Amar, a professor in the Department of Land of Israel Studies. Okay? Following me? All right. The altar site was eventually closed down due to religious opposition. And doesn't that suck? I wonder how much of our history has been changed, altered, or flat out destroyed because it didn't agree with either somebody's, beliefs on what history was or somebody's religion. It's just nothing, Wouldn't you want to know the purest form of your history or your religion regardless? Wouldn't you want to know regardless of what that's going to do? You'd really want to know the core of where things came from. And hiding history and changing history, nothing good's going to come from that, People need to know how we got here and what paths we went down to get where we are today. Otherwise, how are we going to continue on a good path going into tomorrow, Cannabis and other drugs are and have been part of many religions, both present and past. So you religious folks, if you're, anti-cannabis, I guarantee somewhere along the lines there was cannabis or some sort of hallucinogenics in almost every religion. Some archaeologists argue that hallucinogenic drugs formed the basis of Neolithic religion and rock art. So, rock art there. In ancient Greece, they consumed drinks spiked with ergot, a fungus with properties similar to LSD, as part of some religious rituals. So in ancient Greece, they're tripping balls, dude, like full on tripping out for religious purposes. Research suggests that the prophecies of the Oracle of Delphi, a.k.a. the Delphic Oracle, her name was Pythia, were the result of priestesses under the influence of ethylene gas seeping from the ground. So even they were tripping out. And I couldn't get a good definition on ethylene gas. It goes too deep into chemistry, scientific talk for me to get into that. So Mesoamericans used psychedelics in therapeutic and religious rituals, like the Aztecs used peyote and psychedelic mushrooms. The Mayans used psychedelics for spiritual healing, wisdom gain, and religious ceremonies. Hinduism, they used soma, a psychedelic drink. And the Hindus that used soma, they believed that it made you immortal. So that's pretty strong. They also used bhang. In the 4th Veda or Veda, one of the religious books of Hinduism, cannabis is named as one of the 5 holy plants. And this this passage doesn't really name, I feel like it doesn't name 5 plants, but this is the passage that follows that. A passage states, to the kingdoms of the plants which Soma rules as Lord we speak, Darba, hemp, barley, mighty power, may these deliver us from woe. So, man, smoke your cannabis, people, deliver yourself from woe. Native Americans used peyote for religious rituals, and on and on and on and on. It keeps going, man. I could dive down that rabbit hole all day long. 500 BC, earliest evidence of cannabis smoking. Western China, the Pamir Mountains, cannabis found in burners with charred pebbles. So, people smoking it now. In the year 1 to 1, 0, whatever. I know there's no year 0, but year 1 to 1, around that time, the plant is used for fiber for rope, food, medicine, religious and recreational uses. By the 1st century or the 2nd century, the use of hashish starts making its way from the Persian world to the Arab world. So somewhere around the thousands AD. Hashish is an oleo resin made by compressing and processing parts of the cannabis plant, preferably the flower, Semi-solid extract. It's a semi-solid extract composed of resin and essential or fatty oils. Okay. In the 1100s, hashish is introduced to Egypt by mystic Islamic travelers from Syria. Ooh, throwing some mysticism in there. People spreading the hashish around, because that's mostly what people smoked back then. Middle East, that area, they love the hashish. I don't know if they still do, because who the hell am I? I'm not a well-traveled person. But I imagine that it's part of their culture, deeply embedded, and that they probably still, man, I bet we couldn't handle some of the stuff that they smoke over there. 1200s AD. Hashish consumption by Egyptian Sufis, aka Islamic mystics, is documented. They also documented a unique type of cannabis called Indian hemp around the same time. And I know that sounds really super cool, but Indian hemp is just different types of hemp, either more common or native to India. That's really all it was. So there are some special strains that come from the India region. We're not going to get into that right now. We're talking about the history of it, not today. 1230 AD, cannabis is allegedly introduced to Iraq by the entourage of Bahrani rulers during a visit. And I hope I'm pronouncing some of this stuff right. I didn't have time to look up correct pronunciations on anything. So, 1300s, earliest restrictions on cannabis. It started in the Islamic world, unfortunately. Another thing to for anybody who's blaming Jewish people for a bunch of nonsense, there's another one. Restrictions on cannabis. Beginning of criminalization, the emir of the Jonima in Arabia, Saudun Shaikuni, may have been the first person to restrict its use at this time. So, the beginning of being anti-marijuana. In 1320, Indian Hindu travelers are believed to have introduced Africa to cannabis. Bantu, I'm going to say Bantu, settlers then introduced it to southern Africa. Bantu, whichever way you would like to pronounce that. It just means any number of groups in the African region that speak the Bantu language. Smoking pipes, carbon dated to 1320, found in Ethiopia containing cannabis residue. So Ethiopia getting high in 1320. What's up? 1500s. We're going to make a big jump. Nothing too credible happening right there. Maybe I will jump back into that in a later episode when I realized I haven't gone yet far enough in my research, because I don't think we'll be finishing this up today. But next episode, we should be finishing the history of cannabis up. And I don't know if you guys are into this or not, but I'm having a great time researching the history of cannabis and finding out all this crazy stuff, like all the stigma with cannabis and everything really hasn't been around until the last couple hundred years. You know, before that, it was everybody used it. It makes you feel great. Everyone used it. You know, instead of, well, people also used alcohol for sure, but it could be an alternative, you know? Also, marijuana definitely 100% helps people get off of opiates, so maybe jump on that train. I know the coasts of the country are currently being doped up, dude. 1500s, hashish is consumed as an edible mostly until this time. So just the Ethiopians and a few other choice people getting down with smoking it, all right? Most people are just eating it. The introduction of tobacco in the 1500s really helped smoking cannabis become a more common way of consumption, because, you know, people are walking around smoking cigarettes, smoking pipes. You already got your pipe out. You just need some dried cannabis. There you go. Off you go. King Henry VIII strongly encouraged hemp growth for use by the English Navy. And this is just an assumption on my part, but I assume it was used for sails and rope, you know, etc., a number of other things. In 1545, jumping ahead to a specific time date now, 1545, Spaniards brought industrial hemp to the Western Hemisphere and cultivated it in Chile. Or Chile. I don't know. Industrial hemp is any hemp cultivated mainly for industrial purposes, which now consumption, I suppose, is an industrial purpose. So that could be an industrial purpose now. So the hemp we're using could be industrial hemp, I guess. 1607, and yes, still fewer but many choice ums in this episode. Tasty ums. Eat them up. Get them. 1607, hempe, or hemp with an E on it, was observed being cultivated in a Powhatan, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Powhatan village, which was located where Richmond, Virginia now stands. So, 1607, dude, they're already cultivating it in the Americas. So, been here for a minute. The Powhatan were a native tribe located in present-day Virginia. So Virginia was their spot, dude. 1613, Sir Samuel Argyle, an English adventurer and sea captain, reported wild hemp, and I quote, "better than that in England, growing along the upper Potomac in West Virginia." So 1619, the first Virginia House of Burgesses, a legislative body of the colony of Virginia, before we made it all awesome in 1776, they passed an act requiring all planters in Virginia to sow, and I quote, "both English and Indian hemp on their plantations." So varieties of hemp. They wanted them both. So they're still, mind you, the Indian hemp at this point would be, I mean, almost good enough to use for consumption. I mean, it would be good enough to use for consumption, some of it. So I don't think all of it was being used for cloth, etc. Some for consumption there. 1652, European settlers arrive at the Cape in South Africa to discover that cannabis is already very popular amongst people there. So people are already getting down with it there, having a great time. And then we'll be moving on. Right here is where we're going to be coming back. I know we're going to come back to 1787 when we get more into the, I suppose, anti-marijuana like legislation and stuff. I know there's something a king does in 1787 that I don't know right now, but I will know. In 1798, Napoleon's troops get high on hashish after being introduced to it in Egypt. With Egypt being an Islamic country, alcohol wasn't available, so the troops resorted to trying hashish, which they developed a taste for. So big win there. Napoleon's troops getting high. What's up? 1836 to 1840. Now this is a nice part here. This is a little off the beaten path here, but a really interesting guy, a very interesting man, went on an expedition to North Africa and the Middle East. That man was Jacques Joseph Moreau, a French psychiatrist and the first qualified person, quote unquote qualified, I guess, person with a degree, etc., to study the effects of cannabis or any drug, for that matter, on the central nervous system. And, maybe I'll dive into more Moreau in a later episode because this guy is pretty interesting. He studied the effects of drugs on the central nervous system. Moreau wanted to understand the relationship between madness and dreams. That's initially where his interest in this came from. He felt like there was a relation to madness and your dreams. In 1845, he published the book, a French book, Du Hashish et Day, I imagine, later translated as Hashish and Mental Illness. So doctors are now studying cannabis very early, the 1830s, late 1830s, early 1840s. He was also a member of the Paris-based Club des Hashishans, or translated Club of the Hashish Eaters, founded in 1844. The group was dedicated to the exploration of drug-induced experiences, mainly hashish, and the group included famous French writers, politicians, psychiatrists, playwrights, and poets. The real cream of the crop, cream of the creative crop. They were even some people who changed poetry, etc., and novels and the way people write forever. Like some of the smartest people, and they were in the hashish eaters. So take that for pot smokers being stupid. And that right there is where I am going to wrap it up for today. There's so much more to get into, but the next thing is also going to get into some illegalization issues of cannabis, and I want to save that. I want to kind of compress that more. So I really hope that you guys are enjoying this, and I look forward to more comments and suggestions too for future episodes, things that you guys would like to see or would like to talk about. I'm open for almost anything, really, as long as it's not full of hate or something that's anti-science, or, unless it's, we can delve into the creepy and mysterious and cool. And, I'm pretty much open to anything. I really enjoy doing this, and I want to thank you guys for tuning in. And the 4 or 5 of you that watched to the end, thank you. I appreciate it. I really do have a good time doing this, and I think it's good for me to have a hobby to, I don't know, eat up some of my time when my brain would just be eating itself anyways, you know? Use it to gain knowledge about things. So, if anything I said offended you or bothered you or, made you not want to watch the show no more, remember you can't be mad for what I said when I was smoking that ish or eating that ish in this episode. Y'all have a good time, all right? Be nice. Be nice to yourselves. Okay? We'll see ya.